What's going on, Facebook and YouTube Live? Welcome to another episode of On Another Line Live. Apologize being not live last week. If I can get my camera to focus. Anyway, back with another live episode right after this short intro. We're going to get right into talking about spring fishing, which is going to be exactly probably where you're at if you're in my area. If you're down south, it's probably not so much spring fishing anymore, but we're going to talk about it.
Gotta get your arms way up in a cast and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. Gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-Loom that's right. I bet you like what you feel. Step on the deck and give it a whirl. Hello and welcome to my world.
All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you guys for joining in on another episode of On Another Line Live. We're going to be talking about spring fishing and pre-spawn in our area, and if you're somewhere else in the country, this may not apply to you. But first and foremost, I apologize for not being live last week. I had a ton of stuff going on. I got a lot of stuff on my plate right now, but stuff happens. Here's the deal. This eye right here looks like I'm like higher than a gas bill right now. But I was cutting my dad's grass earlier and got something in said eye, and it is nice and red. Whatever it was came out, but my God, it wrecked me for a while. And Wayne Boy's in the house. What's that? What's happening? Bobby Daly, what's up, buddy? Let's get it. That's right. Stephen Green, what's up, man? What's up, K-Flair, Bassett, and Chris Morrow in the house. Chuck Dodson, what's happening, fellas? Billy Oliver. Woo-wee, baby. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Got 21 people live. Go ahead and share this thing out if you don't care. Lie to people, man. Lie to them. Little white lies never hurt anybody. So, like, this guy has got a really cool show. He talks about some really cool stuff. And if they get here and they don't like it, then who cares, right? Anyway, we're having fun. We're going to talk about pre-spawn fishing today. Dusty Smith Jr. and I are headed to Lake Fork in, let's see, 2.5 weeks. We're going to be down there in the great state of Texas trying to lean on a biggin. What's up, David Howard? How you doing today, buddy? Appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us. Mitch Dreyer, man, all the way from Texas. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks for joining in, man. Brian Davis is down there in Chickamauga, son. I hope you're down there leaning on them. Biggin, man. I tell you what, I saw Chris Malone and those guys were down there. Him and Whitney Stevens fishing a Team Bass Extreme, I think, this past weekend. Finished 7th or something. Those guys are hammers. They can catch them. Larry Slack, hey, buddy. Glad I got to talk to you a little bit earlier. No, man, I don't. I wish I did. The tackle box is... I called my Shimano rep the other day and told him I wanted to order one. And he said, okay, you can order one, but I don't know when you're going to get it. We haven't even started shipping them yet. I said, well, that's not really good news because I'm still waiting on 3 NRX Plus that I've been waiting on since July 20th. So I didn't want to spend a big bunch of money on it and have it waiting. So I called Greg Drown at the Tackle Box in South Point, Ohio, and he always has the stuff before I can get it anyway because he's a huge dealer. He buys everything. The rep that I'm talking about, Drew Sadler, he and I, that's how, he's also Greg's dealer, and Drew just basically orders stuff for Greg. New stuff comes out, he orders for Greg, calls Greg's like, here's what I ordered you. But long story short, I do have one coming in as soon as the first shipment comes in for Greg Drown at the Tackle Box. When I do, I'm going to give you guys a full-fledged review of that. I'm hoping that I get it before we go to Lake Fork. I'm not, promising that. I'm not very hopeful of that, actually, but who knows? I like it a lot the time I had to have my hands on it. Those of you guys that may be interested in buying a Stella, one of the new Stellas, the FK or whatever, somebody asked me on YouTube what the bag is like that came with it. Like all the high-end Shimano spinning reels come with a nice bag. And the old Stella used to come in this like nylon, rough-looking bag. And, you buy a $650 reel, you think they would give you a little bit nicer bag for it. I still don't know to this day, but the guy who commented on that wanting to know said that he got his in yesterday, and it comes in a really nice bag, which is a newer bag, but you're also paying $749 for that new reel, which is absolutely crazy. Is it worth it? Probably to somebody. I take care of my stuff, and I still don't know that I can have a $750 reel in my boat. What's up, Chris? Thanks for joining in, bud. Grayson, Kentucky, one of my favorite lakes on the planet. Not too far from me. That's good, Mitch. I think, man, I've been watching people on TikTok and Facebook and YouTubes and everything that I can get my hands on watching Lake Fork down there, and I hope we don't miss it. I think they're going to be off the beds by the time we get there, which I'm really not upset about that. I'm not much of a bed fisherman. I'll fish for, smallmouth on the beds because, let's face it, you can go into a smallmouth bed and throw anything in that bed and tick that thing off enough and it's going to eat it. You may sit there for 5 hours pitching on a 10-pounder and that largemouth never eats. So I'm hoping we get down there maybe and there's some fish off the beds. We can throw some like buzz baits, topwaters, some crankbaits, some jigs and stuff and catch some of these fish moving out, trying to get fed back up after the spawn. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So I will have one of those things randomly very soon. I don't know when. I'd say probably in the next 2 weeks. I'm guessing. Dusty Smith, the guy that I'm going down to Lake Fork with, he got on the water on Wheeler today and caught a few fish. Said he lost 2 big ones at the boat, which is always sucks, but that's why they call it fishing and not catching. What's up, Andrew? Hey, buddy. How you doing, man? Sorry I didn't get back to you last night. You and I were messaging back and forth, and then next thing I know, it's bedtime. I went to bed and woke back up at 5:30 this morning like normal and went about my day, and I've been absolutely hectic. Man, Chris, I haven't got all my stuff set up yet. I'm working on a video series right now to show you guys what I'm going to take. I have 33 rod combos right now in my boat. Am I taking 33? Absolutely not. Would I want to take 33? Absolutely. So I'm trying to figure out this like happy medium where I can actually, it's exactly like planning for a trip as a co-angler in a big bass tournament. The more I'm a co-angler more than I am a boater. And the reason that is, we've had this conversation a lot, is that I fish big tournaments as a co-angler, not because I don't think my equipment's good enough or my skills are good enough. It's the fact that at the end of the day, when you're fishing these regionals and things, those always happen when I'm back in school. So I can't take off work because, they give me 3 months off in the summer, taking, time off in the school year, they kind of frown upon, which I understand. I don't want to handcuff a co-angler that has fished his rear end off to fish with me that when I wouldn't have time to actually pre-fish for a tournament. So that's the one reason I fish as a co-angler. But the more I'm on like Fish Talk on TikTok on the fishing side of things, I see all these people like running down co-anglers that bring a lot of gear. And it's crazy to me. And I understand like if you're fishing out of an 18-foot boat and you've got your rods laying everywhere, but if my rods are in the co-angler side of your boat and you're not having to step over them and it's not all in your way, it shouldn't really matter how many rods I bring. It's weird to me that it would be like me saying as a co-angler, I only want you to fish 3 of those rods you have in your deck, even though I know you got 30 in there. And I get it. I wouldn't bring 30 rods. I wouldn't. I understand that there's too many. The most rods I've ever taken on a boat as a co-angler is 10 rods. Was that probably overkill? Sure. But I was fishing a brand new bottle of water, and I had a lot of baits on that I wanted to fish. But this is exactly like fishing as a co-angler because I'm going down there and we're fishing out of Dusty's boat. And I don't want to pack a bunch of gear. So the issue is that I'm not flying with my gear. If I was flying with my gear, I would take even less rods and fish with his gear. Right now, I actually have a buddy that's driving down to fish with Dusty here in a few days. And he's going to take my rods and stuff down to Dusty so I can, I don't have to fly with it or anything. I'm planning on taking 8 to 10 rods with us. And I'm going to leave the rods that I'm not going to use, in our cabin. Figure out what the fish are doing. I'm hoping I can leave the finesse stuff at home. I don't want to be throwing a wacky rig at them. You know what I mean? I like to catch them on a crankbait or whatever, but eventually it's going to get to the point where we're going to find out what they're catching. And I really, am I going to be using more than one rod? I hope not. But finding the fish and having the ability to cast multiple baits at one given time is a huge deal. So one of the next videos you're going to see is my thought process of choosing the rods that I'm going to take with me. And there's also another video series coming, or not a series, but a video coming out here soon about how to properly clean your live wells, in my opinion. One of the biggest things that I think that anglers overlook, especially in the tournament world, is the proper maintenance of your live wells. Let's face it, live well pumps go out. Matter of fact, I have one live well pump in my boat that's bad right now, but I'm hoping the cleaning process will let me kind of revive that. But I'm gonna show you guys using household ingredients how to clean your live wells, and it's something I've done for years and years. I do it about once a year, usually twice a year. If it gets hot in the summer months, I do it then, definitely like July, August, somewhere in there. I might clean it a couple times. But there's a video coming out showing you how to do that. I use vinegar and peroxide, but the vinegar actually will descale a lot of your pumps and stuff and cause them to work more efficiently, and also get rid of all the algae and all the stuff that's in your live well that could potentially cause you dead fish and potentially money lost in tournaments that you're fishing. Yeah, Chris, like I said, it's coming, man. Like I'm kind of dreading it, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing. But so that's going to be coming up. Those two videos are coming out. Again, trying to go live every Tuesday, and it is what it is. But springtime fishing or pre-spawn fishing in my area is getting warmed up. It's getting geared up. If you guys watched my video on YouTube this past week, I went out to Lake X, as I call it, and every Lawrence County boy or girl on my YouTube channel has called me out with what lake it is. I call it Lake X because it's one of the few lesser known lakes in my area that people aren't absolutely beaten up, so you got a chance to catch an absolute hammer in there eventually. There's been several 7s caught out of there, a couple 8-pounders. Eventually there'll be a 10-pounder put in there, and hopefully caught out of there, and hopefully it's me. But anyway, I went out. The water was murky. The water temperature was about 53 degrees, which was crazy for me when I first put the boat in. And it was really muddy. We had about 6 inches of visibility, so I just chose to pick up a spinnerbait from Tackle Box. It's one of my favorite Tackle Box spinner baits. It's just a willow leaf blade, 3/8 ounce, but it has a gold and white skirt on it. Has a gold hammered blade, both a Colorado and a willow leaf blade. But I was talking to Greg the other day, and I'm pretty sure the skirt that's on there can't be bought anymore. The people that made them discontinued, or they went out of business or something. You can't buy anymore. So that kind of sucks. But I chose to pick up spinnerbait, knowing the fact that 53-degree water temperature, there is some shad and some different kinds of bait fish in the lake. So with that really, really muddy and murky conditions, I was throwing that spinnerbait, 1, for the thump that it was creating, 2, the vibration that everything makes, and also it's mimicking bait fish. If you have really tough conditions like that where it's cold, and you always hear me say it because Kyle said it before our first Grayson tournament that we ever won, was cold, muddy, tough. And that's usually the way it is right now. Water temperature is cold, it's muddy, and the conditions are going to be tough. And that was no different from last Thursday. Air temperature was about, I think it was in the 60s. It was fairly warm. It wasn't absolutely crazy warm. I was wearing a hoodie and had my hood up most of the time I was there. But I was throwing a spinnerbait, throwing a crankbait, throwing a jerkbait, throwing a jig, a Spro Little John. There were several baits that I was throwing, and I couldn't get bit. So I picked up that spinnerbait, and I just kept throwing it. And I finally got bit on that spinnerbait. So I threw it up over this log, and one thing that I could tell is that those fish were absolutely pressed up against the bank. I'm talking within the first 3 inches of the bank. I would throw that spinnerbait up there a lot of times actually on the dry land and bring it off. And as soon as it would get underwater, it would just get nailed. I didn't catch a ton of fish. I think I caught 5 fish. I can't remember, 4 or 5. But I was fishing behind a fella. Don't know his name. Couldn't tell you. We never spoke 2 words to each other. But he was absolutely flat wearing me out with big fish. I was just catching a fish that he was missing or passing by, apparently, because I watched him catch 3 or 4 fish that were over 4 pounds. They were big fish, and he was just wearing them out. But he was throwing a spinnerbait as well. I think he was throwing actually a little smaller spinnerbait than I was. It must have been a 1/4 ounce or something. But he was actually catching a fire out of him, man. But the greatest thing about this is that I learned there is that when the farther I went back in there, and it's fed by a creek, and there's this big creek basin when it comes into the head of the lake there, and all in this big flat is less than 3 foot of water, which is perfect spawning conditions. Had some some rocks and some sand and some stuff that was some hard bottoms. So I just went in there throwing that spinnerbait, and again, the water temperature gradually started raising and raising and raising and raising. When I got to the very back of that creek, as far as I could go with my boat, it was 58 degrees Fahrenheit, which is crazy to me. It was 53 at the dam side of the lake, and then almost 10 degrees warmer on the upper end of the lake. Well, the farther you got towards that upper end of the lake, the fish were more active. Well, I figured out why. The water temperature was way warmer. Getting into that pre-spawn feed up time, they know the days are getting longer, and they're going to be spawning soon, especially as big females. So they're going to feed up as much as possible. I'm not picking up what you're putting down there, K Flare. Let me enlighten me, buddy. Adam Barber, what's up, buddy? Pay close attention. They'll spawn on the same spots every year. It's not the fish; it's a spot. They'll return to that rock or that stump or whatever. It's different couples every year. You're right. Where the nests are, key shallow flats close to the nesting locations, high 40s, low to mid 50s. They'll be piled up in 4 foot of shallow flats waiting to pull up on those nesting spots. Dude, you're right. Lipless and square bills in that situation would be awesome. I got you, man. Like, I'm hoping we'll get on there and smash her, man. I'm not guaranteeing we're going to, but I'm hoping like crazy. You guys will see a video every night. I actually may go live while we're fishing a little bit. I don't know. Probably not, because that usually puts me on the spot. I might go live every night, just have a conversation about what's going to happen, or what we've been doing and what's working, what's not, just to maybe help. Maybe you guys can help me out trying to find these fish if we can't make them. Yeah, man. So back to the electronics. Matter of fact, I think it was you and I that were talking, man. Maybe if not, I apologize. I reached out to Garmin as a company, and I said, hey, I run a YouTube and Facebook fishing show live on Tuesdays, and I post other videos on, every other, whenever I get a chance. I was wondering if I can get a representative from Garmin to come onto the show to talk about what somebody like myself who's new into the electronics world, to see if they would come in and recommend some things and talk about forward-facing sonar and what you should buy and what you should stay away from, and networking the graphs and all that stuff. And I never got a response from Garmin. So I'm sure they're busy. I'm sure they get requests like this, like me, 100 times a day. And I guarantee you, at the end of the day, all these people are trying to get sponsored by Garmin. I get it. That would be awesome if I could. But I was just trying to get somebody on here and answer some questions. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to my buddy Ben Nowak, who has a YouTube channel, and he is huge into the Garmin world. Matter of fact, if you go to like the Bassmaster Classic and you see some of the Garmin booths and things, he's like usually in some of the pictures and stuff. But I'm going to get him on the show and see if he's interested in talking about that stuff. I'm sure he would. He's way more knowledgeable about it than I am. He's had numerous videos out there catching fish with Garmin stuff. So I'm going to try to get him on. Again, from Garmin, actually, as a company, I got crickets. Yeah. So the NRX Plus guys, so a lot of people think when I say the NRX Plus is better than the regular NRX, they see me being affiliated with Shimano through my show, and they're like, you know what? Waller's going to say anything he can to get me to buy a new NRX Plus because they're $625 a piece. Look, guys, I use gear because it works and I like it. If it wasn't Shimano or G Loomis, it would be something else that I've found that I like. But I have found that Shimano and G Loomis, in my opinion, again, and this is so great about fishing, is that you could choose anything you want. I really don't care what you're fishing, as long as you're out there leaning on them. That's the whole main purpose, man. I don't care if you're out there catching them with a $30 Zebco your grandpa got you. Heck yeah, let's go fishing. That's my mentality. So I fished the regular NRX for about 4 years. And I had them in my boat, and I had them forever. And then I got word through the grapevine way before they were released that they were going to be releasing an NRX Plus, or it wasn't called the NRX Plus. Matter of fact, I was fishing some rods that had Prototype Lab stamped on the side of them in a buddy of mine's boat. So, like, I saw and fished these things before they became what they are now. And I had a hard time understanding or believing that the NRX Plus could be that much better, and that would require a whole new lineup of rods as opposed to the NRX versus the NRX Plus. I was skeptical as all get out, guys. I was like, this is just G Loomis's way of milking the system for an extra $50 or whatever, and producing basically the same rod. You're getting excellent quality. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's handmade one at a time in Washington State. You have a lot of like Fuji guides. You're looking at now you have the Shimano High Power X, or the High Power X that you have on the Zodius and things. But you're getting all this really cool technology. So when I first got my hands on one, and the one that I got my hands on first was the 610 shaky head rod, which is similar to the Ned rig rod. It's actually, it says like 610, or it's like it'd be like 822. Yours is an NRR, Ned rig rod, or whatever. Mine was an 822. So the drop shot rod, the Ned rig rod, I believe, and the shaky head rod are all the same length. But the of the three, the shaky head rod has a little more backbone in it. So I got my hands on this thing, and it's absolutely super light. And when I started using it, I couldn't believe the sensitivity of it. So immediately I was like, wow, I was super skeptical that they could make a rod that was any better than the original NRX, because I loved them that much. And then all of a sudden, along came the NRX, and now I sold all of my original NRX. I'm sorry, now comes the NRX Plus. I've sold all of my NRX rods waiting on NRX Plus. So I sold them in July of last year. I sold them on July 24th, ordered those rods on July 24th, and I'm still waiting. 250 some days later, I still don't have them. Talked to a Shimano rep the other day at the Classic. I think I told you guys before, but I asked him, I was like, what's the deal, man? I've been waiting 250 days on these rods, and it's not like, any rods. It's $1,800 worth of fishing rods, and 3 of them. He's like, man, we just can't get the guides in. And he said, obviously, Fuji's coming from China, Japan, that area, and just can't get them in. So we're at a standstill building them, and we can't build them. We can't ship them. But if I catch a 10-pounder, I'm definitely going live. Like, everybody will see it. Like, I'll be sending it to people I'll just be like randomly picking people's numbers from the world that I'll just like type in like 10-digit numbers and be like, hey, check out this 10-pounder. My opinion, buy a new fiberglass boat for 40 grand, or use aluminum or fiberglass boat all dressed out for 40. Man, I have mixed emotions about everything in that realm. I swear to you, I don't know how the bass boat market can withstand what it's seeing right now. $75,000 just gets you in the ballpark of a brand new glass boat. And that is absolutely insane to me. Fellas, I live in a house. It's not a giant house. I don't claim it to be the nicest house on the planet, but I paid $70,000 for the house I live in right now that I'm shooting this video from. I literally lay my head down in a bed in this house for $70,000. There is no way on the planet that I could see as a high school teacher of buying a brand new boat at $75,000, $80,000. Because as you mentioned, Randy, when that $75,000 just gets you in the ballpark with like basic gear. You might have a nice trolling motor, but that's going to be it. You're probably going to have some decent batteries. You may have like 2 6-inch graphs on your boat. You're going to have no power poles for that price. If you want one super decked out, you're looking at $85,000-$90,000 depending on what electronics you buy. Or if you buy like the Ranger Icon series, $110,000. Like, don't get me wrong, man, I'm not hating on anybody. If you can go out and buy a brand new bass boat, that's what I would do. But if I'm spending $70,000 on something, I want to be the first person to fart in the seat. And I'm not going to lie to you. I also, at that point, know who's taking care of it, or how you're taking care of it, right? The biggest thing about buying used is you never know how people took care of it. You also never know who took care of it, because my idea of taking care of something may be different than yours, and it may be different than somebody else's. So my idea of taking care of it might be it gets washed every time we take it out, and it's in the garage, and there's a cover on it all the time, and I change the oil every time it needs, and I'm only running, if it's a 2-stroke, I'm running like the best synthetic oils and stuff. Whereas, somebody that has their opinion of them taking care of it may be that they fish it 2 or 3 times a week, and and upkeep the maintenance and things, and it is what it is. I bought used. I bought a 2006. The boat that I'm still fishing right now is a 2006 201 Pro XL Stratus. I absolutely love the boat. It's getting on the older side of things, but I think if I was going to choose to do one of those for me, and it's different for you, I think, because, depending on what your finances are and, how old you are. Like, I think Carl told me the other day, Carl Hunt, that's on here right now, he said, buy a new boat while you're still young. And I get that. I do. You know what I mean? Like, but it's crazy to me to pay $650 a month. It's like another mortgage for 15 years on a boat, especially here in Ohio, that I get to use 7 months a year at max, which is crazy. But personally, I think the most bang for the buck, and that's way out the window right now because the boat market and the used market is through the roof. If you can find a decent, well-kept boat that's used, I think I would go that route. However, having a warranty on things is a huge lifesaver. It's super nice to know that if you're going down the lake and something happens to the motor, and the oil pump or something goes out on the motor and it blows the motor to smithereens, you're not out $25,000 for a new motor, or hopefully begging your insurance company to pay for it. There's pros and cons of both, and I don't know what I would choose, glass boat or aluminum. I think that some of the new aluminum boats are awesome, like those express boats. Like you got Cox. John Cox is running this. Dude, watch John Cox fish in some of his videos in his pro circuit. He has a deck on this boat that it looks like he can lay down all the way across and never touch his head or feet on it. It looks like an absolute landing strip up there. It's pretty crazy. But personally, I think the best thing to do is find let somebody else take the hit on that initial. It's just like buying a used vehicle. You buy a used vehicle, as far as a truck, you're letting somebody, when you drive a brand new truck off the lot, you're losing $10,000 in value. And that's just the way it is. Same way with boats. The key to it is searching for boats that are not been abused, and searching for people that are willing to tell you the truth. Obviously, take it to a dealer, get some compression checks, check the ECM and things. Those things are actually really cool nowadays. They'll show you a ton of information. If it was ever run hot, how long it was hot, how many hours that it was run at like wide open throttle, how many hours it was set as idle, and you can make a discussion. You can make a determination there. If you see that the boat has 350 hours on it and 200 of those hours are run at wide open throttle, that's probably not the boat that I would go for. But there's going to be one out there for me if I was going to buy it. Probably looking at used. The best thing, if I could tell you to do, is get local to a shop that sells the boat that you like and start talking to them about buying a demo boat. Because most dealerships get a demo boat every year, and either a pro runs it or somebody like, I think Chris Malone here in Ironton runs his. I think he runs his demo. But what a demo boat is for them to take you out and you get to run the boat and stuff, and you see what it's like so you can buy it or not, or order one. The demo boats usually have less than 100 hours on them, depending on who's going to be running. If it's a pro running, we're going to have a lot more than that. But if it's just, like a random Joe that's going to have it, you're going to have a lot less hours on there. It's going to be well taken care of because they want people to buy the boats. And two, you know that they're going to take care of it because it is the dealership that owns that boat. The greatest thing about that is something I didn't know about with Nitro anyway. I can't say it's with all boats, but with Nitro, they ran a demo boat that Kyle has right now. He bought a demo boat from St. Mary's up at Freedom Outdoors in St. Mary's. And it was a demo boat, but when he bought it, they hadn't registered it to anybody yet. So when they registered it to him for his first time, he actually got the full 7-year warranty, which was pretty cool. What's up, John? Congratulations on the win there the other day. Yeah, so I think aluminum is a great option. It didn't used to be. I didn't like the old aluminum boats. I potentially may own both eventually. I'm not going to have some super decked out aluminum boat, but I'd like to have a little tin rig that I can go bounce around some farm ponds and stuff in and feel like Bill Dance. You just drop that baby in anywhere. You can just drop it down all over somebody's farm pond dam and go in there and just wear them out. Yeah, Mark, I'm kind of with you, man. I paid $20,000 for my boat. I guess it's been about 5 years ago now, and I was sick when I paid $20,000 for it. I got a great deal on my boat. I absolutely love it. It's at that point now where it needs some severe maintenance that I have to do soon, or I'm going to be paying for it. I'm going to put some new wheel bearings and things on it. I'll do a video on that stuff too. But keeping up with the boat as if somebody buys a new boat and they keep up with it, which they should, I don't have a problem with buying used, but aluminum I think is a great option, especially if you're fishing a lot of shallow water. You're fishing things like stump fields and things like that, where if you're running over with a glass boat, you're going to scratch it, potentially crack the hull and all that stuff. Aluminum is an awesome option for that. Hope that helped you out, Randy. What's up, Jason? What's up, buddy? Glad you're back on day shift. It's pretty cool, man. I've been digging all your photos from down there on the river. Love it. Yeah, so good insurance is a must. I do think that. So this is not a sponsored ad here, by the way, but when my motor went down, when I hit that rock out of Grayson or stump or whatever it was that jacked up on a lower unit, Missy and I there last spring, I've had Warren Armstead insurance here in Ohio, right in Ironton, Ohio, for years. I've had it for years and years and years. When I called him, I was like, hey, I hit something at Grayson Lake, ruined the lower unit on my boat. And the insurance adjuster asked me how much it was going to cost and if I could send pictures. So I did. It was it was expensive. You guys saw it was like $6,100 or something to get a new lower unit put on my boat. And so I sent these pictures in and everything. And of course it was at Freedom Outdoors and those guys were taking care of, great care of me up there. And next thing I know, I get a phone call from one of their insurance adjusters and they were like, okay, since you have direct deposit with us to pay your bill, we're just going to deposit the money. I was like, okay, well, that's awesome. And then literally the day that he said that, by noon the next day, I had $6,200 in my bank account, direct deposit. It was super easy. So that's not a sponsored ad at all. But I will tell you, if you're in the market for any kind of insurance, and especially if you're in my area, State Farm is amazing. Warren Armstead and Ironton is really awesome. If you're up around Dayton, around Kyle's area, Kyle, my best friend Kyle, he's actually a State Farm agent now. Has his own business there in Springfield, Ohio. But I'm telling you, I would recommend State Farm because my insurance premiums are fairly cheap. They're not as cheap as some of the other stuff, but I have my boat covered, like the contents of my boat, at $10,000. And I don't know that $10,000 would cover everything in my boat if it would totally sink. But the reason I only put $10,000 on it is that most bass boats don't sink all the way. So if you can at least salvage the stuff in it, hopefully. But Warren Armstead has been great to me, and State Farm was awesome. There you go. New 18 or 19-foot Phoenix. There you go. So Ricky would know, man. He's ran them all, man. I've seen this guy in aluminum boats. I've seen him in Phoenix. I've seen him in all kind of boats. Dude's a hammer, too. I like that 19-foot Phoenix. So the word on the street is the Phoenix hull is the old Stratus hull. I don't know how true that is, but everybody on the planet says it is. because the guy, Gary Klaus, who owns Phoenix, was like the CEO of Stratus for a while, from what I understand. He was like one of the big dogs in Stratus. So everybody says that he ported over the Stratus hull and put it in the Phoenix, which I can see they're similar in design. I love them though. Yeah, you're right. $75,000 on a boat. You're forgetting the $75,000 on the truck, $450 in fuel getting there and fishing, $10,000 worth of gear and boat, $175 on a Tuesday nighter. But that's what it's all about, buddy. Yeah, so that's the thing, man. Like I think that's the goal is, would I want to have an absolute giant boat that's just absolutely decked out? Absolutely. Who wouldn't? Phoenix are on the high end of mine. I love those things. I love like the crazy, like what are they, the 21 PHXs or whatever, the crazy expensive ones. Those things are amazing. There's some that's really cool. I was looking at let's see. There was a few boats that I like. Some of the boats that I've been in as a co-angler, guys, that's another cool thing about being a co-angler is you get to ride in a lot of boats. I've ridden pretty much in all of them. Bullet, Camus, which, by the way, I love that boat. Super nice boat. The fit and finish of a Camus is next to none I've ever been in. There's there's gas shocks on every one of the doors, every one of them, except for the live wells. But every latch in that thing or every hatch in there has a gas shock on it, so it's not flopping in the wind. It stays sturdy. I like it a lot. So the Camus boat was really high. That's Earl Bentz's new boat. Super nice boat. And I've been in some boats that were not so great. And that's the cool thing about it is you can ride in all these boats and then people let them pay for them and figure out which ones you don't like. Triton is a great boat. They always have been. You know, they were huge in the area, and again, Triton was amazing. They still are amazing boats. But one of the Tritons that I rode in was a 21-foot Triton, and I rode it. I was actually fishing the BFL Regional down at Laurel River, and we're fishing down there, and this guy comes pulling up in this boat, and we're going across the lake at 70 miles an hour, and I could feel my feet flexing. Like, I'm not talking about like an inch or two. I'm talking like they were flexing 6 to 8 inches. The whole hull of the boat was flexing. And when we got to the place that we were fishing at, I asked the guy, I was like, dude, I said, what is up with the hull of this boat? I said, I swear it felt like this thing was going to come apart when we were coming across the water. And he started laughing, and he was laughing his freaking rear end off. He's like, bud, he said, I hate to tell you, but this thing could come apart at any time. He was telling me a story that the top cap had it had separated from the hull of his boat, and he was fishing a big tournament. So he went to his local Lowe's, Home Depot, got a bunch of self tappers, took the rub rail off, and just self tapped those screws into the hull. Well, when he got back to town, called up Triton, they voided his warranty because he put those self tappers in there. So he had like a $75,000 boat that could have came apart at any given moment, which is crazy. Man, I love to. I actually have I have a work engagement on Saturday all day, which sucks, but you got to do what you got to do to be able to fish and all that stuff. So I'd love to. John, I'm headed to Lake Fork here in 3 weeks. We're leaving Easter Sunday, going down there, having an absolute ball, man. I'm looking to. My goal is, I don't want to like overthrow my I don't want to overshoot my bounds here, if you know what I mean. My goal is to just beat my PB. My personal best is it's like 6.5 pounds, and I caught this thing like when I was 15 years old at a farm pond, 6.5 pounder. Biggest fish I've ever caught as far as largemouth goes. My goal is to go there and best my personal best. If I do that, I'll consider it a win. I'm going to consider it a win no matter what. I'm getting to spend some time with one of my best friends on the planet. And we're at the land of the giants, man. Any one cast can, it could be a 14-pounder. You just never know. Water level's still low. Going to be easier to find fish, I think, unless they start raising the water. If they start raising the water when we're there, it might get ugly. But we're going after them. That's where I'm headed. Dude, I do need some tires. I will talk to you for sure. Definitely like to get the hook up there. So yeah, I appreciate that. I'll definitely get a hold of you. Hey Sean. So the Daiwa Ballistic, I've heard a lot about that reel. But I have never fished a Daiwa reel in my entire life. I don't like to tell too many people this, but I fished Quantum for a while when I was young, still in high school, freshly out, and I bought into the Quantum Smoke line of things. One reason, and I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to call a spade here. One reason is that KVD is an amazing salesperson because he absolutely catches the fire out of fish, and he's like, it's kind of like nitro boats. I'm KVD. I could choose any boat I want, and I still fish nitro. Is that true? Probably not. They're paying him the most. Anyway, long story short, I was fishing Quantum and stuff. They were junk. Finally started fishing Shimano again. I'd fished Shimano when I was a kid, fished lower end Shimano stuff, and then got into the point where the Quantum and Shimano, Quantum was at least half the cost of Shimano, and then started buying Shimano when I could, fishing them, building up my arsenal, and then again, years later, starting this show and stuff and being affiliated with Shimano and G Loomis, I haven't looked back. I've heard a ton about Daiwa reels, man. I don't have a bad thing to say about them. They have some absolute hammer pros that fish them. I will tell you though, I have fished the Sustain FJ. I actually had one for a while, and I sold it to buy an X-Sense. And the reason I bought the X-Sense over the Sustain is the fact that it's a lot lighter of a reel. But the Sustain was an absolute fabulous reel. I loved it. The only reason, again, I sold it was the fact that I wanted to buy an X-Sense, what I like to refer to as the Batmo reel. But I'm going to tell you one thing, guys, and this is funny, this is sitting here. If you guys have never fished the brand new Shimano Vanford that just came out this year, this thing is an absolute game changer for the price point. I'm telling you, it is an absolute phenomenal reel for that $229 price point. That's awesome, man. I'm glad State Farm helped you out as well. What's up, Nate? Congratulations on your second place win out there at Yates Vegas. Bass Cat, I like them. Hard to get used to those triangular live wells. They claim they have more space in them. I don't know. The only time I was ever in a Bass Cat in a bass tournament, we never caught a fish, myself or the boater. So I couldn't tell you. I'm sure they're great boats. They absolutely fly, man, especially if you get like the Ira or whatever. There's several people in the area that have them and like them a lot. Corey down in Wheelersburg has one that's a really nice boat, super nice boat. I have nothing bad to say about them. They're really good stuff. What's up, Aaron? What's up, buddy? Hey, I know you got my message there yesterday, but I got a buddy of mine in around the Point Pleasant area. He's actually from Mason County, looking for a cranking battery for his boat. He was trying to get an Odyssey. Odyssey's like months out, and getting those things are crazy right now. So he's looking at those blue tops that you possibly have. So if you have some here recently, let me know, because he's definitely in the need for one. Yeah, so bullets are fast. I've only ridden in one in my entire life, and I don't know that I would own one because they are that fast. I'm a speed freak. I love to go fast. My boat goes like, it's not even that fast of a boat, man. It probably would if I put a different lower unit stuff on it, but it's the fastest I've ever had it is 74 miles an hour, and that was a half a tank of fuel with zero weight in it other than the fuel. I didn't have any kind of gear in there, and that was with a 28 pitch raker. But I was in a bullet going across Indian Lake in up around it's up above St. Mary's, Ohio there, and we were like 85 miles an hour across the lake, and he didn't have it wide open, and we're in 8 foot of water all the way across this lake, and man, I have never been more scared in my entire life than riding in that boat. I swear to you, it felt like there was this much of the boat in the water, which probably is not too far from the truth, but that's what they're built for. They are speed boats, and you're right, the front deck is really big on those boats, but I think I like it how they're higher on the water. You set out of the water more and you can look down on fish. But I also think that's kind of a downfall too. If you're way up in the air, you kind of look like a predatory or predator to fish, especially if you're casting shadows on them. Yeah, David, man, like I said, Triton boats are awesome. I love them. I think they're great boats. Usually, man, they have some of the Tritons I've ridden in have some of the most comfortable seats on the planet. One thing that I dig about the really high end Phoenix boats, though, I don't know if you guys have noticed this lately, but the new Phoenix boats have seat warmers in them. Like, now I don't know about you guys, but if you guys fish like I do, and you fish when it's super cold, to be able to sit down and go to your next spot knowing that your tush is going to be like 75, 80 degrees going down the lake, I'm talking, come on, give me a break, dude. That is freaking awesome. Are you getting that on that $50,000 price point in that 19-footer? Probably not, but they do have it as an option, and that's pretty daggone cool. Yeah, so Strick here owns both. He owns a Phoenix and a Bullet. If you're on the river, bud, just let her eat, bud. Just let her eat. I do think that having a fast boat on a river or a big long run like that is definitely to your advantage. If you can cut time off anywhere of the trip, if you can get there 5 minutes earlier than you could have in a slower boat, I think you're probably having an advantage there. Having a 85 mile an hour boat on Yatesville, probably not the greatest idea because you're not going to open that baby up. So, if you have the options to run both like Strick does, that's what I would do too. Really, John? That's cool, man. I'm going down. We're hoping to hammer down on them. Well, who knows? Yeah, dude. Casey, I mean, you know me, bud. Just keeping it real. That was probably 20 years ago. Not my most proud moments, but we all make some mistakes. Banfers are awesome, man. You're gonna love them. I'm telling you. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna go out somewhere this weekend. I don't know where it's gonna be. I'm not gonna have a ton of time to fish. Probably Sunday evening. Go somewhere. That's my goal. All right, man. See you, Andrew. Javelin boats are really nice too. Javelin and I think Stratus. Let's see. It wasn't Javelin. And Javelin had a sister company. What was that thing called? They were basically the same boats. I don't know, Sean. That's crazy, but like I said, the whole deal that's nuts. Like I've been in a situation where I've been absolutely so cold that I didn't want to sit down on the seats because I know they were that much colder. But knowing the option that I can go back there and flip on the seat warmers when I'm going to make a move and then give it about 5-10 minutes and go sit on that thing and it basically feel like you're sitting on the old toilet at your house and somebody already sat on, which is not what you want to feel. But if it's 40, if 14 degrees outside, there's been times I'd probably want to do that. Man, I don't know. I'm in, man. Don't threaten me with a good time. Yeah, dude, I'm ready to lean on a double digit. First and foremost, you freaking hammered them down there wherever it was at, and I want to go. So let's go catch one or something. That's awesome, man. Rocky Fork's one of my favorite lakes. Somebody told me it took 20. Actually, I think it was Crappy You told me it took 20 pounds to win there on Saturday. That's a good bag on Rocky Fork, man. Well, when's that? Where did the 10-pounder go that was in there? You guys supposedly caught the 10-pounder, had the picture of the Rocky Fork bass that you never really saw where he was at Rocky Fork, but he claimed he caught the 10-pounder at Rocky Fork. Where'd that thing go? It's never been caught again. Did it die? So my arsenal right now is split between Corrados, a lot of different models of Corrados. I have a Corrado I series. I have some of the I have E series Chronarchs. I have the 200. Let's see. I got some of the new 150s, 200s. I have a 300 Corrado that I throw big baits on, like a Alabama rig, or big swim baits like a mag draft or something like that. Tree 50. About tree 50. Wow, 22 pounds first, 20 for second. 42 pounds of bass and 10 Rocky Fork. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm curious about that 10-pounder. What happened to it? It was there. Guy caught it, disappeared. Must have went over the dam. Who knows? Pretty crazy stuff. But anyway, we're talking about spring fishing. Without that, dude, you're not telling me anything I don't already know, man. I had that thing in my hands for 24 hours. I had a dealer sample in my hands, and I got to use it here in my house. I didn't get to cast it. I didn't get to do anything but reel it. But I sat here and held that thing in my hand while I watched TV and did the old just spun that thing. It probably needs a new set of bearings in it after I've done that. But you're right, the Infinity Drive. And the thing about it is the Infinity Drive system right now, even through Shimano, they don't have any kind of information out there. I don't know if they're just trying to keep it secret because it's that good and they don't want anybody like knocking it off. But I talked to somebody from Shimano, I was like, explain Infinity Drive to me. And they could do it on the Stella. The Infinity Drive on the Stella spinning reel is that the pinion gear is actually surrounded, or it surrounds the shaft that the spool is on. It causes less torque, it's more forgiving. There's less, it's kind of like a beefed up version of X-Ship. And that's all they'll tell me about Infinity Drive too. And if you can get on like JP DeRose's website or on his YouTube channel and listen to him talking about the Bantam, he just talks about Infinity Drive, but he doesn't tell what it is. And he basically just says the same thing, that it's a souped up version of X-Ship. And if you don't know what X-Ship is, X-Ship for Shimano, if you talk about having a casting reel, you have the spool that goes through the reel on both sides of it. And what happens is there's a pinion gear that when you turn the handle of the reel, there's a big drive gear and it hits a smaller pinion gear, which then drives the spool. Well, that pinion gear, a lot of times they just put one bearing on one side of it. When you set the hook, what happens is the spool flexes and causes that pinion gear to come out of alignment with that main drive gear. And you get that really whirling sound, or you get T-slippage and stuff. With X-Ship, what you have is you have a pinion gear that is, it has a bearing on both sides of it. It's supported on both sides of the pinion gear. So you don't get that. And actually, more teeth contact, especially with the micro module gearing and things. But the Infinity Drive system, I will tell you, Sean is 100% right. Guys, if you get your hands on one and reel it, it is unbelievable the amount of difference that you can feel. It is the absolute, and I'm not just saying this, it is the absolute smoothest reel I've ever had in my entire life in my hands. I'm talking hands down, second to none. I'm talking it reels smoother than a $750 Stella, in my opinion. Is there more technology in the Stella? Sure. But I'm telling you, that Infinity Drive stuff, there's something to it. It's crazy. Like, it's just nuts. You have to get your hands on one. Tackle Box gets them, go up there and check them out. I'll be the first one to buy one because he's going to tell me when he gets them in. I'm going straight there. So anyway, we're about that 54-minute mark. Again, going out to Lake Fork here in 3 weeks. I'm going to get out on the water here and there when I can. I got a lot of stuff going on. I got some family things going on right now. That's why I wasn't live last week. Trying to bring you as much content as possible. Again, I got 2 videos coming out this week. One of them is going to be showing you the videos that the rods that I'm taking to Lake Fork, showing you my thought process, what reel, the idea is to take the reels that I feel like I can get away with throwing the most baits on. I'm not going to throw, I'm not going to pick up a rod that I just strictly throw one bait on. That's going to be dumb to travel, 1,000 miles with a rod that I may or may not use. So I'm going to be having that. And the next video again is going to be showing you how to clean your live wells. Watch my favorite way of doing it. Again, I don't claim to be a pro at that, which is weird. The best producing video that I have on my YouTube channel to date right now is how to clean boat carpet. It's got like 85,000 views on it. It's crazy. I still get comments on it daily, and it's been on there for like 5 years, but it's got like 85,000 views on it. Yeah, no, I get it. Up there in the Windy City, cold and windy. I don't know how they cast. There was a lot of people on the planet that hated the Bantam because the old Bantam, they claim, is the worm gear, or the basically the level wind system of the reel was too close to the spool, and they say that hurt castability. I have a Bantam, but I have it on a flipping and pitching reel. So I didn't try to get 75, 80 yard casts out of it. Like, I just went and I was, hitting targets, and it absolutely is the most solid reel I own. But the new Bantam, I swear it feels like it's a little longer in the forend of it. So I'm hoping they extended that a little bit, if that's true. That's just what I've heard on my channel. A lot of people saying that level wind, that eyelet on the level wind was too close to the spool, and it didn't allow the line to come off cleanly. I'm not sure about that. The Bantam I own is on a flipping and pitching rod, so I wasn't ever casting it. Yeah, man. So I didn't catch a river fish, but that 4-pounder, or that almost 5-pounder I caught the other day, it was really cool though. The water wasn't that cold, but man, you catch a fish in like 2 foot of water. I swear to you, it felt like I was red fishing. Like I had a bonefish on. I set the hook, dude, and that thing went as fast as it could, 9 million miles an hour to the left. And I was just holding on and watching my line go. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And it eventually jumped. And at that point, I had the opportunity to get some leverage on him and bring him my way. But he just kept going, or she just kept going and kept going and kept going. So 58-degree water temperature, and she was ready to eat the old spinnerbait. Man, there's the question. Do I like the Adrenas or NRX Plus more? Subjectively, NRX, because there's more options in the NRX line. The Poison Adrena rods, though, are my absolute favorite rods on the planet. They are absolutely phenomenal. I love them. My favorite rod right now, I find myself picking up more often than not, again, because I don't have my NRX Plus yet. I've been waiting for 250 days. You guys know that. 255 days or something on my NRX Plus. But when I have my NRX and I would have the Poison there, I would pick them both up equally. But now that I don't have the option to use NRX Plus, I've got a whole new outlook of Poison Adrena. I love the Poison Adrena for the fact that my favorite Texas rig rod on the planet right now is a 7.2 heavy Poison Adrena. It's a 172H or 172 heavy. And most people look at me like I'm throwing a 3/16-ounce weight Texas rigged on a heavy action rod. However, one of the things that you have to understand about the Adrena lineup is that pretty much everything on that end of the Shimano line, the Adrena stuff, is like a JDM action. You're going to have like the Japanese domestic market. So a medium is more like a medium light. It's kind of like the rate. It's lighter power than what it's actually rated. So that 7.2 heavy rod is an absolute phenomenal rod when it comes to Texas rigging small jigs. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Super sensitive. Love the carbon handle. I didn't think I was going to like that stuff. Now they're porting it over into the Zodius, and now we see it on the X Pride. I think it's a legit deal. Again, the downfall of the Adrenas is that there's just not many of them. If they had, 50 different rods in the Adrenas, I potentially might pick the Adrenas over an NRX Plus. The reason I would do that is the price differential. Are you getting higher quality stuff with the G Loomis? Yes, I believe so. They're handmade one at a time. Super high-end components. I I don't know how. I'm sure the Adrenas are maybe mass produced or whatever. You are getting Spyrex core in the Adrenas. I really like that. But the major downfall between the two is you get a 1-year warranty with the Adrena, or you get a limited lifetime with the Loomis. You go and you set the hook on a fish and it breaks on the Loomis 10 years down the road, and you think it's a manufacturer defect. You send them back, and then they'll send you either an NRX Plus if they're still making them or something comparable. Whereas the Shimano, the Adrena, 1 year from the day you buy that, you're buying a new rod, which is what it is. I, knock on wood, I take care of my stuff. I've never broken a Shimano rod. I set the hook like an absolute monster too. I don't care. If they break, they're going to break. But I do like the Poison Adrenas, man. I think subjectively, on basis of more rods to choose from and the warranty, NRX Plus, but I think the Poison Adrenas, as far as sensitivity and build quality, are right up there with them. The only downfall is you're getting a 1-year warranty on the Adrena. So the Adrenas that I own is the 7-foot, what is it, 7-1 medium heavy. I think it's a 7-foot or 610. I think it's a 610 medium heavy spinning rod. I own the 1611, the 6'11" medium plus casting rod. Really like that. Great, phenomenal jerkbait rod. Absolute awesome jerkbait rod. The 173 medium heavy casting rod, I have it. I'm throwing a spinnerbait on it right now. Also great for a bladed jig. Phenomenal rod. And again, you guys heard me mention the 172 heavy. Absolutely love that thing for Texas rig. Don't let the heavy action fool you. Will do. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's all subjective. I would say that the 1/8 ounce will be pretty tough to throw on that 2 power. So John Osborne or these guys would know, but I'm thinking 3 years ago there was rumors and a picture floating around the area of a 10-pound bass that was caught out of Rocky Fork. Again, it was at a bank that I'd never seen, and I've fished pretty much every inch of Rocky Fork. But there is some places I've never been. But everybody claimed that they knew the guy, and it came from Rocky Fork, and it was a little over 10 pounds. So I don't think you're crazy at all, man. Like, I think that one thing that you're doing there is you're reducing weight of cork. I love cork. It feels better in your hands. I was worried that the carbon was going to get cold, right? Because carbon doesn't make heat on its own, right? So I figured, I was like, man, if it's 25 degrees outside and I'm fishing a tournament, it's snowing on the deck, these things are going to be like icicles in my hands. I don't feel like they're any colder than cork, but I was worried that it would be off balance because a lot of these rod manufacturers take cork and they put it on there and then they balance the rod seat or the reel seat with the reel on it and try to balance out the rods. I was like, well, this can't be balanced because this carbon handle is way less weight than a big bunch of cork back there. But one of the things that I have noticed is that it is absolutely uber sensitive. And somebody asked me the other day on my channel, and I couldn't tell you the answer to this. It's something I need to dig into. They asked me, is it like a glue-on piece or is it part of the blank? My initial thoughts is that this thing is a glue-on piece, just like anything else. I don't know if the blank takes up the entirety of the cavity of that handle or if there's air in there or what. But the only thing I know is I'm with you, man. I think that carbon handle adds sensitivity. One, because it's super hard material, right? So the sensitivity or the vibration that comes through the rod blank gets transferred through that hard carbon and doesn't get baffled or kind of condensed in that foam. So that's one of the rods that I don't own, man. 7-foot medium Adrena. You're right. I like it, but I'm telling you what, if Shimano would make a 7'2", 7'3" medium heavy rod in their rod series, their actions, it would be absolutely knock out, lights out. I'm talking about a spinning rod, like a 7'2", 7.3 would be perfect. 7'3", medium heavy in there, in that lineup that has, it's a little lighter than it actually is rated for. Like medium heavy is more like a medium, but I think if they would come out with that 7.3 medium heavy spinning rod, they would sell 1 million of them. They're just that good. I love them. Really good stuff. Pretty cool stuff. All right, guys, man, we're about that hour mark. We're actually an hour and 5 minutes. Thank you guys for joining in. We're going to hop off here for this evening again. Stay looking for some new videos coming out. Again, how to clean some how to clean the live wells on my boat. I'm also going to show you the rods that I'm taking to Lake Fork. And coming up between now and then, you're going to see some videos, obviously live next Tuesday. And then we're going to Lake Fork again, leaving Easter Sunday. And you guys are going to see a ton of content out there. You're probably going to get tired of it. I'm going to be trying to produce and send out a video every night, whether that be live or an edited version. I'm probably going to do a multi-day series where we're showing so we're going to get out there on Monday morning-ish, fish Monday morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, half a Thursday, and drive home. I have to get back on Friday-ish. I got some things there to do. And then the following next day, the Saturday tournament, is a Casting for Kids tournament on Yatesville. It's like 158 boats in that thing. It is going to be an absolute madhouse at Yatesville. 158 boats. It's going to be nuts. But that's what I have coming up, guys. Thank you guys for joining this episode of On Another Line. Herb, nice to see you, buddy. Thanks for the safe travel wishes. But you guys know the routine. If you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd appreciate it if you would. First and second off, if you guys are ever wondering who brings this show to you, be people just like you tuning in and watching this crazy mess that I call On Another Line. Appreciate it. Obviously goes without saying, jbsfishsauce.com has been one of the affiliates of our channel for a long time here. Have my own signature blend called Pinch of Garlic. If you use OALL20, that's the letter O, not the number 0. So it's OALL, kind of like On Another Line Live 20. It'll give you 20% off anything you buy from jbsfishsauce.com. Next thing up, apexfishingapparel.com. My buddy Mark Hickey has a really cool fishing apparel line. They just released a bunch of toddler and youth sizes, and just released a bunch of those things. If you're not into the bass fishing world or you just like to get some really cool clothing, they got some really cool stuff at a great price. Again, not making any money off of either one of these things, just showing you guys that you guys can get out there and save yourself 10% at apexfishingapparel.com using the promo code Waller10. Anyway, we will see you next time. If you guys can, get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.